So let me start again with maybe the introductions. My name is Hanne Spangenberg. I'm the General Manager for Student Information Systems at IFOCorp. I'm also just going for 1 second going to monitor the chat to see if everybody else can hear now. Romana will be monitoring the chat box. So just if you can't hear me, Romana, can you just indicate to me if I'm not audible again? Otherwise, I will assume that everybody can hear now. Very welcome to this second webinar in the series of Why Academia. And I'm going to go quickly through what are the rest of the series, but let me start with introducing the academia team, and maybe first let me start with welcoming everybody that is joining today. This series of Why webinars we are going to repeat often, and I see some of you have already attended some of the previous ones, which is always good because they start with webinar 1 at the user experience, and it sort of builds on what you can get from the system in the next 3 webinars. But if you've missed any of them, we are repeating these webinars every 2 months in the same sequence, as well as, of course, distributing the recordings of the previous webinars. So if you did not attend webinar 1 on the user experience, it will be repeated, and you're more than welcome to ask for the recording of that webinar. But you're all very welcome, and I'm grateful to have you online. And it's so nice to talk about the system and just give you an idea of where we know the system can add value to your institution. I'm going to introduce you the other people from IFOCorp that's also online. We have Denzel Jones. He's a Senior Project Manager for the academia team, and he's involved in projects like the University of Stellenbosch academia implementation that's now ongoing. And with that, he brings a lot of practical knowledge to the table and to this discussion. So if you have any questions with regards to how things practically work, and also system-wise, you will be the one that we should ask that to. Then we also have Romano Domingo, who is a project account manager for the academia team at IFOCorp, and he will usually be one of the faces that you see on site if you implement the system. My name, as I said, is Hanne Spangenberg, and then I also want to thank the back office background team from the marketing side who's assisting with this webinar and who will be distributing the recording afterwards and also distributing the contact information to you so that you know how to contact us. So thank you for everybody, and again also for everybody that's joining. Okay, so you will see on the screen that today's webinar is on customization and configuration as well as integrations. Then next week we're going to look at technology and hosting. And then lastly, we're going to look at the cost efficiency of the system. And that will be the series of 4 webinars that we're going to go through. I'm going to try and keep it to 45 minutes because I know there's only a certain time span how long you can look at a screen, and it's interesting enough. So let's keep it short. The idea is that if you have the need for further information or to see more of the system, that is what we will do after this. Let's organize individual sessions, let's organize a session with your own institution, and we can go through it in a lot more detail. So today's session is purely on what do we bring to the table with regards to how easy it is to configure and customize the system. Let me start off with just giving you an idea of what IFOCorp does. So IFOCorp is a 20-plus-year-old company that's operating in many of the African countries. As you can see marked in purple are all the countries where we have clients. We have a wide spread through Africa. And with our grouping of products, we are servicing many schools, many universities, many colleges, many academic personnel, many students. So the numbers is as impressive as it can get. But what do we do as a company? We have a grouping of best-of-breed products that manages your student experience. Now, you usually have a student in an academic institution, as you can see on the left-hand side of the screen, and we have the IFOCorp products and services that enhances this business of your academic institution and the managing the student on an academic and administrative level. And I'm going to very quickly touch on 2 or 3 of them that fit in with either what's happening in COVID period, also what's related to the academia system, before we start to focus on the academia student management side. So one of our biggest services and systems that we offer is DigiCamva, which is the learner management side. And that is a combination of learner management system, the implementation of the learner management systems. We also support many different learner management systems. The training of the academic staff on those systems, the hosting, very importantly, accredited courses for your academic personnel, and then things like digital content development, where we take your content and we put that into an engaging manner into your platform. So DigiCamva, any of your learner management needs, and this of course very closely links to the academia system for the student information management side. Then another product that we have is Turnitin for the academic integrity, and that is very, very widely used in South Africa and in Africa, and that allows you to monitor the quality and the authenticity of the research papers and the assignments that is submitted by students and personnel for research purposes. A very powerful tool and used widely. We also have ModoLabs, which allows you as an institution to design your own apps using the mobile framework without any technical skills and coding skills. The framework design already takes care of the technicalities. It takes care of posting your apps to the stores, and you can plug and play into this framework. A very effective way to communicate with your students and your stakeholders in the institution. And then lastly, of course, where we're going to focus on today is the student administration and student finances, which we manage via the academia system. As I said in the beginning, in IFACorp, we manage this student experience. So there's many other systems and services that we offer in relation to the student experience management. And the idea is that we can take from when you first engage with a student up until that student becomes an alumni in your institution. We manage all the different phases with these best-of-breed products that we support. Okay, so I think that is enough about IFACorp. Let's look at the academia system and why we want to spend some time on the academia system. So the academia system is developed by an Indian company called Cerosoft, and they've also been in operation for 10 years with clients in many countries and servicing many, many clients. A big history behind what they do and a proof of that they've been doing it well for many years based on how many institutions are already using that system. The academia system is a robust, feature-rich, analytically equipped, user-friendly system, and then importantly built on cutting-edge and flexible architecture. So that is the easiest way to summarize the system in a very effective way. And we are not going to look at all these features of the academia system today, because as we go through the webinars, we address bits and pieces of these ones. But it's also important for you to know that although we may not speak about that in this session, things like the system is cloud enabled, it's multi-center capabilities. And that is, especially if you're in the private institution or multi-campus, very important so that you can have multiple companies on one academia system. It's got its own mobile app, it's a comprehensive system. So a lot of highlights that lies within the system that we are not necessarily going to address within the session of today. But if we look at individual sessions with your institutions, then we will go through these things in more detail. Just on a very high level, what is contained within the academia system. So there's two components. The one is managing your student academic cycle, and then your student financial cycle. So that starts off on your screen on the left-hand side with campaigns and inquiries, admissions, registration process, managing your residences, then of course your whole academic management coming from your academic structure or your curriculum, the structure around how many assessments, how's your attendance managed, how do you do your timetables, your study material management and the distribution of that. E-learning, the interface to e-learning system. So I've spoken about Eiffel Corp that has an e-learning division where we not only implement an e-learning system for you, but we manage it, we host it, we have multiple services to support you in that. And that system is then seamlessly interfaced with the academia system to complete the cycle of academic management and administrative management in your institution. Examinations up to completion and graduation. So that is the cycle of the student that is managed. Then, of course, very closely with that is your student financial cycle that is managed in academia. That is the setting up of your structures and then the related payment and generation of fees. This, of course, can be done just as with the whole student cycle in an online fashion through the portals. And we will very briefly touch on that a bit later. And scholarship management. Now, that is the basic cycles that you see in academia. Those cycles are supported by two things. The one is the structures behind them and the structures that allows your institution to have control over how you do things and what you do with the rules that you set. And that very closely links to the configuration that we're going to talk about today. And the second part is the communication tools that is available. So one of the very strong points of academia is all the portals that we have for the stakeholders, where you can set the information that you want to display for these different stakeholders in the portals. And we will also shortly look at that today. And then, of course, the messaging side, we've got a CRM embedded in the system for the messaging and notification part, allowing you to very easy, if you have attended last week's session, you'll remember we looked at how easy is it to just send the SMS from an academic side as well as the administrative side directly to a grouping of users that you have selected from the system. Reports on demand, dashboards, statistics, all the things we looked at last week, but powerful ways for you to communicate information that you have entered in the system to the different sets of stakeholders. And that is in essence or in basis what the system does. Now that is, if you look at student information systems, also the essence of most of these systems. And our idea with the Why Academia webinar is to show you the things that where we know we are good and we are better than our competitors, and that we know this is something that we can bring a value to the table. And that is why we're just adding onto the base of the system with these webinars a little bit on what can we do different. So let's look at your needs. I thought of first starting off this with so many times they talk about when you look at the system and if you look at the specs of student information system, when you look at the tender that is published, they talk about configuration and customization. And for me, the essence is that this is two different things, but two equally important things that you must look at when you decide on a system or when you evaluate the system. So configuration is when you use the native tools or the tools that is in the system to change the behavior or the feature. So that is something that's existing already in the system, and to change that to decide, do I do something in this way or that way? Customization is the expansion on that, and where it sometimes may require custom coding or some sort of special implementation. And that is the part where I mostly want to focus on today, that can be, if you choose the right or the wrong system, a very painful or a very enjoyable experience, because the customization is the thing that can determine, is it easy to change the system? Is it easy to customize according to your own needs? Or is that a very expensive and lengthy process to customize the system? And those are very, very important things to look at when you decide on what student management system do I use. It may not be always part of the first picture on how easy it is to determine that, but let me tell you, after 25 years in this field, in the education sector, after 5 years, this is the part where it becomes very difficult to be able to effectively cost and maintain a system if your customization level is very difficult. That doesn't take away that configuration is just as important, and we will look at both of them today. I read a few articles, and one of the things on a blog was that on configuration, they spoke about the setup of existing features to meet requirements, to meet your requirements. And that is exactly what you look at when you look at configuration of a system. Is there enough rules that I can set? Is there enough system features that I can change without any system changes to meet the requirements? While customization has to do with adding new features to meet your requirements. And that may be new fields that you don't have, or hiding fields that you don't want to have. Changing the sequence of what is on your screen in the way that is displayed. And showing fields in a specific report or taking them away. It doesn't necessarily need to be things like designing a whole new module that you do not presently have in the system. It's these small bits and pieces that adds onto how easy or how difficult it is to maintain that system. And that is when you look at choosing a system, you need to look at the configuration and the customization levels of that system. I read a very interesting article, and I thought I would just highlight some of that. It was by a director of a marketing company, where he spoke about most vendors will claim that it's easy to customize their solution. There are two approaches. One involves the need to program or code, and that is the customization level. And the other one has to do with your user interface that non-programmers can set up. And that is, of course, as we looked at the previous screen, the configuration part. Now, he highlighted things like custom coding, which typically comes with a very high cost. So when you look at your customization or your programming code part, look at your custom coding, look at what cost that comes with. Coding heavy approaches leads to scope creep, long implementation, broken budgets. That is just so many times proven in history. So if you look at the system, anything that has to do with coding heavy, and that has to do with the platform that your system uses, the languages that it uses, the tools that it uses makes it that heavy. Configure quickly and easily without having to know how to code. That is the answer, because that just gives you the ability to avoid long implementation, to avoid budgets that goes over budget, scope creep, and things like that. Then further on in the article, he spoke about configurable solutions have lower total cost of ownership. And I don't even have to explain that it's just so relevant that if you want to look at your total cost of ownership of a project, from the start, look at the configuration ability of that system. Solutions with a code-based approach to customization is very different and very difficult, because you have to have knowledgeable experts to change anything on a very strong code-based approach for customization. Surface level questions about customizations when you look at choosing a system won't do the job either. You have to ask detailed questions about setting up of users, setting up of fields and screens, routing ability, security, external access, and that list goes on. But so true, because many times when you look at the system, you ask a simple question like, can the system be customized? Can the system be configured? There is no system that will answer no on that, because in essence, it can all be done. I think the question that you must ask is, how is that done? And that is the part that I want to focus on with the academia detail today. Then lastly, also in that article, the configuration and the customization offers, of course, greater scalability to meet your business needs. That's why it stays important to look at that when you decide on a system. Customized via coding require more technical skills and resources, and that just makes your life more difficult. And then the customizable and configurable solutions offer greater flexibility, also with regards to integration. And integration is one of those things that nowhere do you have a system, because all your business areas and your business processes is somewhere embedded in a system, or in future will be somewhere embedded in a system. There is no institution that does not have a need and the level of integration to other systems. Customized and configurable solutions just makes that integration already a lot easier. Okay, and I want to thank Scott Reedy for our article. It was a very interesting article that gives you a lot of information on what to look at. And it's also important from the academia side to benchmark us against what's discussed in the sector and what's discussed in the market. And that article was just a very good idea for me to say, yes, I mean, we tick the boxes of this is exactly how the system was designed from the start to meet these specific criteria. Okay, so I think let us start with why academia and how can we fit your need with customization and configuration. Romano, I'm not monitoring the chat box, so you can just butt in if there's anything that must be urgently answered. Otherwise, I will assume there's nothing and I will continue. I think from when I last introduced, Danzel has also joined, so just again, welcome Danzel. So let's look at the fitting of the system within a process. Now we know there's some processes for each institution that is very unique. Some is unique, but they can be managed via a parameter that you configure. So do we use this currency or this currency? Do we have our format for our student numbers in this way or in that way? Small things that you can use to configure. But in some things, it's a customized approach process, like applications. Applications is a very specific look and feel for each of the institutions because you do it in a specific way and you apply unique rules for your own institution. And therefore, a process like application is a uniquely designed process stepwise for each of the institutions when the system is implemented. So this is an example of one where we said, okay, so how do you want your applications to work? I can share one a bit later where it simply says, fill in this form, it generates data in the database in the background, and we continue with the process from there. This institution said, set up a 4-step process that the student can proceed with step by step, and they will be guided through the process. This is then designed with the implementation process specifically to the needs of how your institution wants to do that. And as I said, I'm not going to spend too much time on all the detail. This is typically the things that we'll look at in a further series. But if time permits, I am going to, at the end of a session, take you to the live system and just show you some of these things so that you can see how easily it is done. Because we all know the proof of the pudding is in the tasting, so we can just taste the system a bit later. So the customization of a process for your own needs. Another way in which the system guides in that is with the management of a process via the menu. So this is an example of if you log into the system on the administration level of the menu, and you will see that the menu is set up in such a way that it also guides you through some of your processes. So there's an admission part, there's got the settings, then your forms, then your fees that you set up, your process that you design, and then of course a lot of dashboards and the reports. And this you can change to make sure that you are guided in the system by how the menu is set up in a way that it guides you through your processes. Secondly, the customization of the system can be evaluated according to what information do you send or do you supply to your end users. And that is one of the biggest areas where you can get value from being able to change the system easily to fit your own needs. So let's just look at this many stakeholders, but let's just look at 2 or 3 of them now. This is an example of if your stakeholder that you're looking at is a student. The student has got a dashboard that they log into as part of their student portal. And in that dashboard, the student can easily see information related to the student specific. But this student can also, and we will look at that in the live system, change on this information by hiding some of these dashlets, by taking some fields away. So customizing the information that you send to the student, but also allowing the student to customize some of this to monitor the information that they want to monitor. So the dashboards are very, very effectively used for the distribution of information, but then also to make sure that this distribution of information is relevant to the specific stakeholder that we send it to. Another one is, for example, this is a lecture one actually, that shows you if I'm a lecturer or academic personnel and I manage different subjects, I want to see information in a different format. So let me show you this lecturer, all the different subjects that he offers. And for each of these subjects, the lecturer can very easily now manage the assignments, the list of the students, the session diaries, the attendance, mark entry, going forth of that specific subject. So a customized way of displaying the information to the lecturer and allowing the lecturer to now manage his or her own process via a look and feel that fits how the lecturer wants to see that. So that's customizing the process for your own institution without having to go through an extra process of telling us or telling the company how you want to have it done and changing the system. This is part of the base of how the system is deployed. Let's look at management, your most difficult stakeholder. Many times, of course, they want to see information in a different total format again. So you cannot show them the normal dashboard look and feel necessarily because they want to monitor information that looks different or is consolidated differently. So this is an example of, if you look at the finances, for student finances of an institution, a very easy way for management to understand. In the top, consolidation of different fees, like the total invoices up to your total outstanding on student fees, and that information then displayed in a graphical format. Again, a way of showing you that how easy is it to customize the information that is sent to the different people that wants to look at that, and making sure that you have relevant information for the relevant users. The student is totally web-based. So each and every one of these stakeholders, as well as your administration system, can be reached via a web session. It is not difficult for the user that they must be on a VPN or they must be on your internal network. They use a web session and it's easy for them to reach. Of course, the students can also use the student app, and they can use their cell phones to reach both their own portals as well as the app. Easy ways for them to get to the information. I think I'm going to skip this to the end. I want to show you, if there's time, a bit on, so what does the system actually looks like if you say it is so easy to display, it's so easy to show things in a different way. So we will, I think, look at that at the end then. The next way how you can customize or configure the screen after the system is via your screens. Many times you have a system that looks wonderful, but that's the way it looks, and you have to take it as that. If you want to change, then we go back to our first slides, then it becomes an expensive and a lengthy process to change the system to fit to any specific needs that you have. So in the academia system, there's two things that you can very easily do when you implement. The one is change the field names. So if you do not use program, but you use qualification, if you do not use module, but you use subject, when we implement the system, these wordings or field names is implemented as relevant to your institution, so that you do not sit with reports and screens where fields that is not, it does not have the naming convention that you as an institution use is not relevant. So that is changed when you implement the system or implement it with the correct wording. The other thing that you can do from a screen where you work on is you can add fields and you can hide fields per institution. So if you are an institution that's got a specific unique number that you use, that is not normal, it's our own institution number that we use for a specific reason, that can be added by the institution itself to the screen. As well as if there's a lot of fields that you do not use that is displayed on the screen, but it clutters your screen because that's not relevant to your business. Those fields can be hidden from the screens so that you do not confuse your end users with entering of a lot of information that they don't want to enter. And that easy it is to add or to change on the system. What is the value of that? You do not have to go back to the people that designed your system, go through a process of writing specifications, paying for them, and waiting for a long time to change small things that you want to change on the system that is relevant to your own institution. And another way, if you just look at this is, for example, a screen of, let's see, a lecturer that has logged on, where the lecturer can see all his exams and his courses. And of course, easy things like drilling down to the student. But this lecturer, for example, wants to just change this dashboard a bit more that's relevant to the information that I want to see, because I don't want it to all this cluttered work. Then it's as easy as either saying sort differently with the right click button, or if I right click, I am at this stage seeing all of these fields. I can simply click on message, mark, enter attendance assignment, and those fields are taken away from my screen, and I only have the 4 fields left that I want to monitor. So a very easy way in which you can change the view of your data in the dashboard based on what you as an individual want to view, without saying, this is what the system looks like and this is what you're going to get. I think that is the biggest part around this customization, is that you do have the ability to customize without going through, as we said, the lengthy process. The last thing that you can customize within the system is the reports. Now, the reports is very similar to the screens, but the reports is sometimes one of those things that every time that you want to change on the report again, you have a set of data that you want to report on, but depending on who your stakeholder is, to who you want to report, that data changes all the time. And you do not want to have a fixed report with 20 fields, and even if the stakeholder only asks for 5 of those fields, they get the 20 and that's it. And the academia system makes it very easy in that sense. You can draw a report. So this is an example of an application report. You can draw a report or a set of data where they are fixed, or there's fields that is displayed, and you decide, simply right click and say, I only want to see the following 3 fields or 4 fields for this single time that I want to view the report. I unclick the other fields. We will look at that now, and it clears your screen. It only shows you the fields that you've marked. And then you can very easily go to, if you see in your right-hand corner, now export this data to either to Excel or to a PDF and report on that with your own logo included. A very easy way for you on simple or single reporting level to customize the information that you want to see. But then also very important, the minute that you now want to start to interrogate data, there's a very big level of statistical and management information reports that you can view and that you can see, and they can be viewed in exactly the same way as when we looked at the management information for management level, where it showed you this is graphical format data, very nicely designed, and you can also get that in text format. So easy ways to see that data, but also easy for the end user to manipulate the data that they want to generate and create a report from. And then I think before I close off with the integration, I'm going to take you to the live systems. If you will just give me a few minutes, I am going to unshare my screen, and then I am going to share a live session of the system, and then we can just quickly see what the system looks like. Let's see where I got that one. I'll got that one, and give me one more second. I think I'm going to shoot that one also. Yes. Okay, so I am on the academia system, one of the screens. Can I ask Romano or Daniel just to tell me if you cannot see the screen? It is one where I show the dashboards.
Yeah, we can see the screen.
Okay. I'm also going to switch between 2 or 3 screens. Please tell me if you do not see me moving between the screens, so that I know. I think that it will move seamlessly. So let us start with this. Where shall I start with? This is, for example, if you look at the system, I wanted to show you, this is just a report that I've drawn. Let's start off with a dashboard. So this is one of the dashboards for, where are we? We're in as an admin user, and a lot of dashboards that can be set up, and I said it's easy to change them. So I've hidden some of them, or I've taken the data away, this data display for some of them. I, for example, want to monitor the inquiries. As I log on in the morning, it will show me that and allow me to monitor. But I can also say that, you know, this is available here, but I want to make this for myself. I want to make it very easy. I want to take away some of these fields, and I can simply right click on this and say, I don't want to see all of these fields. I want to make my screen more concise, and I hide some of these fields. I can show this data in chart format if I don't want to see the data in a format that is just text, so I can switch between those. That is the view of student data. So I'm just scrolling through this to show you how easy it is to take this data, change some of that data, manipulate some of this data, and use it in a way that will easily allow you to monitor. So let's look at this one, for example. This is just employee leave dashboard. So you are in charge of some people, you want to monitor their leave. And in this view, you're shown the location or the campus, how many leave requests, rejected, pending, withdrawn, fields like that. But I don't want to see all of these fields. So I don't want to see pending, and I don't want to see withdrawn. And as you can see, as I unclick or click them, my screen literally changes as an individual user, which does mean that if I'm now, for example, looking at student tally, and I decide I don't want to see all of these fields, it is not the process of requesting somebody to go and change the field for me. I can simply decide I don't want to see session, I don't want to see quota, and the student count is also not important to me. I'll just look at the percentage of seats filled. And my screen is adjusted according to what I've selected there. And that easy it is for you to customize the system to fit you as an individual user. Some people like overload of information. Some people like concise information. And you don't have to go through a lengthy process to get to that. Let's look at another example here. This is reports. I've just drawn any of the report lists. So this one has to do with courses and programs, so your curriculum or your academic structure. And let's look at the course popularity report, for example. So there I've said, show me all the popular and least popular courses. I could have looked at the absenteeism report or the faculty workload report. Any of them will give you the same type of look and feel. But this is what the report looks like. And then I said, okay, this is very interesting, but you know what? For now, I only want to show the campus or the academy location, the program or the qualification, and as I said, you change that when you implement the system. Session is not important to me, the period, the course scope, the applied and enrolled, that is not important to me. So I literally change to the fields that I want to use now, and from that I can say export to an Excel format, or I can say generate a PDF report for me, just for the screen I'm looking at, or all the data in that specific one, and I can look at the PDF. This PDF can now, of course, be customized to have your own look and feel and some information from your own institution on. This is just an example. But that is how easy it is to customize according to what do you want to see on the system and how do you want to see that on the system. without going through a process of asking a technical person to help you to adjust the system every time. We also spoke about things like the, let me see what else I've got. This is the dashboard for the lecturing staff, for example. So again, the lecturing staff, you only want to display information that's relevant to them. They are not necessarily big IT or system users, so you want to make it as easy as possible. So let's customize this and give them concise information. This lecture's got per subject. I can see the assignments, I can see the students for this subject with some contact detail on those students. Every time I can see the attendance, if our attendance mark is at that stage relevant and I've selected a specific class, marking the attendance for that specific subject. And in that way, easily allowing you to manipulate again the data that you display to a specific entity or user and allowing them to easily work with their own data. Now, these are all changeable as per request of the institution in the sense of what do you want to show to the lecturer and what do you want to allow them to do within the view that you give them. Okay, so things like assign remarks, mark entry, easy for the lecturers now to manipulate and work with their own data. I think that is the part that I want to stop on with this. We've got 10 more minutes. I'm just going to quickly wrap up. I also thought of showing you within this customization, you have so many people that you want to satisfy as stakeholder, and there's portals and data views available for all of them. And there's single login that allows the different types of users or stakeholders to log into the system to monitor the set of data that you want to display or show to them. Okay, let me just go back to the presentation for a last time before we start to look at some questions. I'm just going to stop sharing this screen again and go back to this one. Okay, so we are back on the PowerPoint. Romano, you Danzel just indicate if we're not on the PowerPoint. And lastly, I want to talk about the integration, because customization and configuration of the system has got a side system, that is the integration, because you customize and configure the system to change and to fit your needs, but there will always be business processes or part of a system that lies outside your system that you're working with now. So outside, if we look at this example, outside your administration system, there will be other systems, of which a learner management system is a very good example, of which a library system is a good example, your access control systems, your financial systems, your HR payroll systems, many systems that lies outside your base of the academia system. And again there, the difficulty is in deciding what needs to be available to easily integrate to other systems so that it is not a costly and difficult process for me to reach data for my own institution that lies within other systems. And again, there, the academia system has from the start been designed in a way, because of the technology that we use, because of the way in which the system has been designed, with the view of web APIs, that it's easy for you to integrate to other data and to reach other data. And we have a whole set of already designed integration to other different modules that's usually part of different systems, that's usually part of your business process. I want to say standard things like your web portal, SMSing, Excel, and things that you will regularly use. But then also more focused things like your payment gateway. If you look at the student portal, where the students will be able to pay directly to the bank, the payment gateway. Your learner management system, doesn't matter which one of those you use, there's the integration to a learner management system. Integrating with accounting software, and there we include things like payroll and HR software, RFID card, so the cards that you generate for your students and your personnel member, the integration of that, biometric integration, mobile app integration, and it goes on like that. So the essence of this is that there is already a lot of predefined integrations that makes it easy for you to take other data and to integrate and share between the systems. But it also proves to you that we have done this many times, and if you have a specific system need for integration, the knowledge and the skills is there to use it, because it's one of the things that the system has been designed from the start to make sure that you can easily communicate data to other systems, as well as take data from other systems, because the principle is still keep data at source base and don't duplicate data. And you can only do that if your integration levels are in place and easy to maintain. And with that, I think I am now going to take a breather and just see, Romano, if you can indicate to me if there's any questions in the chat box.
Hi, Andy. There's one question from Peter. Peter says that this looks like an ERP system. Does it have a built-in library system?
Okay. Thank you, Peter. So it is an ERP system, but it's an ERP system for student and student finances. It's got a component of HR management so that you can manage your academic staff and their leave. But outside of the normal ERP picture is things like financial management for your institution finances, so for procurement, for example. Also payroll management, that is outside of the system. Then on a library side, the system does not have its own library system, but it is seamlessly integrated, and we have implementation skills for the COA open source library system. So COA, you can download, use it as open source, as a library management system. We already have the integration levels to COA, and there is skills within Cerosoft to help you to implement COA. So there's a solution. It's not our own system, it's an open source system that you can use for library management. And it is on the same principle as Moodle, the learner management system. Exactly the same thing. Moodle is an open source system. You can download Moodle and you can start to use Moodle. We have skills to help you to optimize that and implement that. And we have already an integration level between academia and the Moodle system. Romano, are there more questions?
No more questions, Andy. It says, oh, sorry.
If you quickly open the chat box here.
Yeah,
the name of the library system that I've mentioned is KOHA, K-O-H-A, KOHA. So you're more than welcome to look at that, but you can also, K-O, yeah. So KOHA, and you can also ask us for information on that. So KOHA. I'm just going to scroll up. Romano, are there questions, other questions that I need to address in the chat box?
Here's another one that says, can it manage online applications and query chat systems for prospective applicants into our institution?
Yes, definitely. It can manage online applications. It's got a very strong online facility for inquiries, applications, registration, and all other actions. But the online application part is the part that we, in the beginning, where it can be customized to fit your own needs. The student can sit, they query on your academic curriculum, what is available. You can set up the rules on how they are able to query. You can also set up fees. If, for example, they must pay a fee before they can apply, or they can apply, then they pay a fee, and only then it is an active application. Many rules that you can set around that, but a customized approach where we set up your online applications in a very nice and engaging way. And there's so many ways in which we've already done it based on the need of the institution. And amazingly, some institutions still say, we want to keep it simple, just fill in a form that generates the data to the back office and sends out communication. Others have it in a very engaging step process. Whatever works for your institution, we implemented that one. More questions?
No, that was the last one, Adley. Thank
Was
you.
that the last one? Okay. Okay, and I'm good on time. I sincerely want to thank you everybody for attending. Because I see there's a last question, is there a way we can integrate it with Pastel? Yes, definitely, it is already integrated with Pastel. Pastel is of course one of those systems that you can also implement in different ways in your institution, but depending on how you've implemented, there is the integration level to Pastel. It may be changed a bit specifically to fit your own institution needs, but yes, it can definitely be integrated to Pastel. And you must remember from a technical view, that is why I started off with things like, look at, when you choose a system, look at how it can customize and integrate. Because if the system has been designed correctly, technically from the start, you don't even need to ask, can it integrate with this or this? Because that is what technology allows you to do. Of course, it can integrate with anything. If there's not an existing integration level already, it can be technically easily designed because the system has been from the start developed in a way that makes it possible. Okay, then I sincerely want to thank each and every one of you. It was very joyful to have you online again. Please join us next week. We're going to continue with the next 2 sessions on the Academia, Why Academia webinars. If you also have a need to speak to us individually before that, Jeline is going to send out the recording and the contact detail. Speak to us. We can organize an online call very easily and have a more individual, customized discussion around what your own specific needs are. But I appreciate your time and I hope to see you all online again next week.
Thank you. Sorry, there's one quick last question. I don't know if you want to quickly answer it.
Yes.
From Peter Martino, can you confirm that the system cannot be hacked by any unscrupulous user? So it's about the security of the system.
I can confirm that. I think the easiest way for me to manage that is to send you our security levels, because the system has got technically built in so many security levels, and also because it is a web-based system from scratch for all the processes. The security levels has been done in a way that we make sure that you cannot hack the system. Now, is it 100% secure? I think that is, if I speak to a technical person, they will immediately say no. If I speak to an administration person, they will say nobody's ever hacked it. That is a difficult one to answer in the sense of, am I sure? I am sure. Has it ever happened before? Not that we're aware of. Can it happen? Yes, I think it can happen. I think if there's wise enough hackers, anything can be hacked. But has it happened before? No, the system has been designed in a secure way. If you have a need to have that answered more technically, I'm going to get the technical people online for you, Peter, and then we can go through how was the system designed, with what security levels in, to make sure that it's not hackable. Apart from the obvious ones like using HTTPS and using a unique ID and login and password, and apart from those things, what other things has also been built into the system?